All right, so welcome to this task, the share navigation. So this is your first task in ALS. I am sure you're having fun already. Huh? All right, so we'll be looking at share navigation as our first task. Now, what is a share? Someone asked you what is a share. So simply, a share is that's terminal that takes input from the keyboard and sends it to the operating system for processing. And the terminal serves as an interface that helps you to interact with the operating system, all right, using commands. And what you need to know about the terminal is that the terminal takes only lower cases. So we'll get to see that and how it works. All right. Now, for this particular video, I am going to help us to go through these tasks from the quiz all the way to finishing our task 100%. So you need to pay attention because this is going to form the beginning of your journey in ALS Africa. Everything we do from today will build up to what you are going to see in your software engineering journey. So you need to pay keen attention. All right. So to get your sandbox, this is your sandbox. You'll be using this for almost all your projects. So this is a sandbox. Just click on it, and then once you click on it, pick the Web 10. It's a Web 10 you will use. So pick the Web 10 for your project. All right. So let's just go into it and start our discussion from here. All right. So what I will do is to drag this out so that we are able to work this side by side. Okay. So I think this will do for us. This will do it for us. Now let's look at so let's look at all our commands we'll be using. So once we are done with this command, I'm sure that you'll be confident enough to even answer the quiz questions without my input. And the first command we'll be looking at will be the PWD. PWD. So PWD stands for Print Working Directory. Print Working Directory. So you want to know where exactly you are working right now. So with PWD, you'll be able to see that you are working in the root folder. So when you see the slash, is the root folder, the root folder. All right. So PWD is to print where you are working at the moment. All right. Now, LS help you to list all the folders in your current working directory. So all the folders in your current working directories will be printed by LS. And clear, C-L-E-A-R, clear, helps you to clear your terminal. Whenever your terminal is full and you want to clear your terminal, you just clear, enter, and then everything will clear from your terminal. All right. The next command we will see is mkdir. mkdir is to help you to create a directory. So you want to create a directory, you use mkdir. All right. So let's say we want to create a directory called ALS. So mkdir space ALS and click enter. Now, once that is done, we use LS to list everything in our current working directory, and we should have ALS here as our directory that we have created. Now, let's say we want to get into this directory and work inside this directory. How do we do that? We'll use the CD. The CD. CD stands for change directory. So CD space ALS. CD space ALS, enter. So now you see that we are in ALS. Before now, you see we're in the root folder here. Now we are in root folder /als. So if we list now, we have nothing in our current directory, so nothing will show. All right, so we are in our ALS. So to get into your ALS folder or to get into a directory or another directory, you use the CD, and CD stands for change directory. All right, now so let's create a file. How do you create a file inside a directory? You use the touch command, touch space the name of the file you want to create. So let's say we want to create a file called ALS hyphen text. ALS hyphen text. So enter. Now we've succeeded in creating a file. Now let's see the file we've created. We do ls to see the file. Now you see that we have ALS hyphen text. Now let's create another directory inside this current directory we are in. So mkdir space, let's say ALS2 and enter. So ls to C. Now you see that we have ALS2 and we have ALS underscore test. Now, can you see the difference that the directory is showing blue here and then the file is showing white? So for you to know the difference, you see that this is a directory and this is a file. All right, that is the difference. Okay, now let's move on to other commands. Now let's say we want to write in something into our file. We want to write in something into our ALS text. We can use several ways to do that. But for this particular task, we'll just use something very simple. We'll use the echo command. So we'll use echo single quote and say, let's just put something test file. All right. And then we'll close it with a single quote and greater than sign space the name of the file. And the name of the file right now is ALS test. Enter. All right. So if we do ls, we're not going to see anything. But we want to see what is inside the file ALS test. What do we have inside the file? Remember, we wrote something there inside the file using this command, echo command. All right. So let's see. So to see that, we're going to use cat, then the name of the file, cat space ALS test, and then enter. Now, when we click on enter, you can see that we have test file, which is what we use this echo command to write into the file. So this is one way to write into a file. As we progress in this journey, you'll see several other ways to write into a file. So what it means is that this test file now is what is contained inside the CLS test file or test file. Yeah. So this test is inside there. All right. Let's clear our screen and then look at other commands. Okay. Now, we are going to use the less command, and then the less command simply, so let's do ls so that you see what we have. We have two, we have a directory, one directory, and then we have ALS test file in this our current working directory. Remember, we created this directory called ALS with CD into this directory, and now we have this. Now, let's say we want to know the type of file that this is. All right, already we know that this is a test file, but we just want to know. Maybe you have several files and you want to know what is contained in this file or what this file is all about. You use the less command. So less space ALS test. All right, and then enter. So this is telling us that this file is a test file. ALS is a test file. All right, it's a test file. So if it's an HTML file or JavaScript file, you see it's HTML, or to show you that it's JS file. All right, so I will just use Q to paste. All right. Now, the next command we'll look at will be the copy command. Copy, which is CP. Now, we're going to copy a file into another file. So to do that, let's create another file, touch, and let's call this file 2. All right. So if we do ls, you see that we'll have file 2, we have als -text. Now I want to copy what is inside this als to this als. Remember that if you do cat als-test, we'll have something inside this, which is test file. This is what we have inside it. Now, if you cat file 2, you see that we don't have anything inside file 2. It's empty. You see that it's empty. Now, we want to copy this inside file 2. And to do that, we're going to use CP. CP stands for copy. CP, then the name of the file, which is als-test, and then the destination file we want to copy to, which is file 2. Enter. So now, if we cut file 2, we should be able to see the same information that is inside als-test in file 2. So this is how to copy files. So we copied using the CP command, CP, and then als-test, which is where the destination we are copying from, space file 2, which is the destination we are copying into. All right. Now, let's move on. Another command we'll look at is the mv. All right. Now, the mv command simply helps you to move files around. Helps you to move files around. Okay. So, how do we do this? We want to move a file into another file. So, let's say we want to move. So let's clear first. Let's just clear. Then ls to see the files we have. All right. So we have als-test. We have file 2. We have als2, which is a directory. Okay. Now we want to move file 2 into als2. How do we do that? We use the mv command, and we put where the destination file that we are moving from, and then we put the destination file we are moving to, and then we click on enter. All right. So now we've succeeded in moving file 2 into als2. So if you do ls now, you see that we no longer have file 2 in this our current working directory, which is als, because we have moved that into als2. Now, how do we see that this is working? We use the command cd, which is change directory, cd space als2. Click on enter, and now we have cd into als2. All right, we have cd into als2. So how do we now confirm that this file is inside als2? We are going to use the command ls. So ls enter, and here we have our file 2 sitting inside als2. So we see that als2 is inside als, and als is inside the root folder. So with the // you can see, so you can actually continue to create another folder here or another directory here, and then you seed into that directory. That is how to change directory into another directory. So like having a directory inside another directory, inside another directory, inside another directory. And to enter, you just use the cd command. So what if you want to go back to the previous directory, which is the als? We want to leave this als2 and go to als. How do we do that? We use the command cd space dot and enter. Now we are back to our als file, cd space dot. Now, how do we see that we are there? If you do ls, you see that you are back to where we have our als and then our als-test. All right. So the next thing we'll look at is the ROM. All right, ROM. Now, ROM is a command that helps you to remove the file ROM helps you to remove a file. So let's say we want to remove the file als-text. Let's see what is going to happen here. ls. So you see that now we succeeded in removing our ALS file. But you cannot use ROM to remove a directory because this ALS2 is a directory. So let's say ROM ALS2 and see what is going to happen. It says you cannot remove ALS2 is a directory. So how do we now remove ALS2? For us to be able to remove ALS2, we use the command ROM-ARROW. Or we can use ROM-DIRROW. Now, for you to use ROM-DIRROW, the directory must be an empty directory. If it's not an empty directory, it will give you error. So, in order to be on the safe side, I always prefer that I use -ROM followed by the name of the directory you want to remove. In this case, ALS2, and then enter. So if we do ls now, you see that we've succeeded in deleting our ALS2. Now let me just warn us from the beginning that any file you remove, you can't get it back. So you need to be sure that you really want to remove that file before you remove the file. So once you remove a file, know that you don't have a need for that file. There's nothing like Ctrl-Z to get it back here. All right. Now let's go on. We're just going to create another file because we don't have any file in this directory right now. So let's just use the touch command to create another file, ALS1. And then let's use the touch command to create ALS2 space ALS3 space ALS4. Now, what this will do for us is that it will help us to create 3 files at the same time using just one command. The touch command followed by the 3 different names of files we want to create and then enter. So when you ls, you have 4 files inside because we use this command to create 3 different files at the same time. All right. So I guess I've been able to do justice to the commands we need to use for now. And I'm sure that with this, you should be able to handle this task all by yourself. But let's just go through the task together. For the quiz question, you should know already. The 0 question says, which command should you use to delete file? To delete a file. Like I said, to delete a file, you will need ROM to delete a file. So the answer is ROM. Question 1, which command should you use to list all files of a current directory? That command is ls. We've used that over and over again. To list what you have in a current directory, you use ls. Question 2, which command should you use to display the current part of your working directory? We say that's the first time that we use pwd, pwd to show their current working directory. Which command should you use to copy a file? We say to copy a file, you use cp. Which command should you use to create an empty file? We say to create an empty file, you use the command touch. Which command should you use to change directory? We say to change directory, you use cd. Which command should you use to create a directory? We say to do that, you will use mkdir, which we used before, mkdir. Which command should you use to display the content of a file? The content of a file. We already say that you use less to display the content of a file. And which command should you use to rename or move a file? We say mv. And which command should you use to delete a directory? We say ROMDIR. But like I said, ROMDIR is to remove an empty directory. If you have folders, you have files inside that directory, you have to use ROM-R. And it will also get to a point where if you have some arguments in your file, you will need ROM-ROF to delete a particular folder. All right. So without further ado, let's just dive into our task for the day. So the first task, which is the variable pair, says create me. And then the question is access your sandbox, which you've done already. To access your sandbox, click on your sandbox, go to the web term, click on web term, and you will land here. You will have something like this. They said access your sandbox, change your working directory to root. I already told us how to do that, to cd to root. So you can just say cd to root, and here we are in a root folder. And then they say then create an empty file called so cool. I already explained how to create a file. So all you need to do is to cd. So cd to root. So you see this command cd/root. All right, cd/root, and then you do touch, and you create a file called so_cool. So_cool. All right, so you click on enter, and you should have that file created for you. And that is all you have to do here. So once you do that, once you click and you enter, don't remember to list, which is using the ls to list your current working directory. So I already have the file here, so cool. That's why I didn't click enter. So click so cool, and you should be able to have that. So that is that for that question. The next question says that change your working directory to root. We're already in a root folder. Then copy the file school to _temp. So how do we do that? Simple, like I said. So first, cp for copy, and then the file you want to copy, which is school, and then space temp, tmp, enter. That is all. So cp for copy, school, which is the name of the file, to /tmp, enter, and then you are done with that paste. The next, and once you do that, please don't forget to check your code. So for each task, don't forget to check your code. Once you do it, check your code. Check your code. Once you check your code, it will mark it done for you. It will mark it done for you. All right. So the next one says change your working directory to the root folder, then rename the file old school to new school. Simple. How do we do that? We have a file called old school. We want to rename it to new school. So we use the file called mv for renaming, then mv, and then we are renaming the file old school to new school. mv old_school, and then the file we are renaming it to is new school, new_school. All right, that is it. Click on enter, and then check your code. You should be good to go. The next question is that change the working directory, to root folder. We are already in a root folder. Then move the file not here to temp /right/school. Same thing. We are moving this. So how do we do that? Save mv, and then the name of the file is not underscore here, and then space t/gmp /right_school. Once that is done, click on enter, then check your code, and you are good to go. So how do you move? mv, then the name of the file you are moving, which is not underscore here, space the file you are moving it to, which is temp/right_school. All right, that is it. What's our next question? Our next question says change your working directory to the root folder, then delete the file ready to be removed. So we know that already. This is a file, not a folder. So we use the _m, then the name of the file we want to remove, ready _to_be_removed. Sorry. to_be_removed. Simple. Click on enter, check your code, and you are done with this. The next one says that change your working directory to the root folder, then create a directory called school. Is amazing. How do we create a directory? mkdir, and the name of the file is school underscore is amazing. All right, and enter, check your code, and that is all. The final question says change to the root folder. You know, remove the directory empty directory. So since this is an empty directory, we can use the arrow to remove this folder, which is empty directory. All right. So once you do this, arrow to remove that. Remember, I said that to remove a file is arrow-m. To remove an empty directory is arrow-m. Then click on enter and check your code. It should be good to go. All right. So this is the end of today's task. Thank you for joining. Don't forget to subscribe so that you have more value from this channel. You are going to need this channel throughout your journey in ALS Africa. We drop videos concerning all your tasks and everything that have to do with ALS. All right, so thank you for watching to the end. See you next time. Bye.